All right, almost ready. Looks like it's all set up. So let me get this up right here. Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry about that if you guys were in the last live. It looked like there was some sort of error, so I had to restart it, but it looks like we're pretty much good to go. So I'm going to post this link on our social media real quick, guys, and then we can get started. So let's give me a few seconds and let me just get this on the Facebook and then on our Instagram page, and then we can get started. Actually, I haven't even posted it to the Telegram yet, so let me post this on the Telegram. All right, cool. Looks like we're pretty much good to go for the most part. Let me get this on the Instagram real quick. See if I can get a screenshot of this. Copy this link. Get it on the Instagram. I gotta figure out a way to get this on the Instagram live as well. Seems like a lot of people like to just follow it on Instagram, but I feel like that'd be a lot more difficult if you're watching this this chart analysis on Instagram, because it's kind of harder to see. But I don't know, some people like doing that for whatever reason, so I'll probably figure out a way how to get that up. But you know, from now we're just going to keep doing what we're doing currently. It seems to work for everyone, so it should be fine. Let me just get this right here. And they always change these stickers on Instagram. It's kind of hard to find a good swipe up sticker. All right, get this link on there. All right, cool. Let me get a few seconds to finish loading up. Let me pull up the YouTube real quick. There should be people in here now. Let's see. All right, cool. Looks like people are starting to roll in. So I'm gonna give it a few more minutes before we officially get started, just so people can join in. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick, guys. Be right back. All right, guys. So it looks like people are making their way in right now. So let's see. Happy Sunday, everyone. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I just got back from my trip from Arizona last night. Took a drive out there to visit family. But you know, I was waiting for the weekend to be over so I can start trading again, because I didn't get to trade on Friday, unfortunately. It looks like a lot of you guys made a ton of profit on Friday, so I missed out on that. But you know, you got to enjoy life sometimes. You just got to take a break from the charts. Hey Greg, how's it going? Radimir, thanks. Radimir said, "Hey, nice haircut." Yeah, I got a haircut on what, Thursday or Friday. So yeah, I haven't seen you guys since then. But yeah, definitely. Thanks, Radimir. Hey John, how's it going? Uzman, how's it going? Spencer, how's it going? Wayne, everyone here. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready for a great week, guys. Just a reminder, I know not everyone here is from the US, so this week is Thanksgiving. So there might be low volatility in the market, as a lot of people just don't trade during the you know, the holiday week. That could be a blessing and a curse, because it could be a blessing because the market will be moving a bit smoother, and we would be able to catch a lot of moves that way. On the opposite end, the volatility might be down, so it might be hard for us to really catch any trades. but it does look like everything is still moving in our direction. So this is our Euro NZD that hit full TP on Friday. If you guys weren't able to get out at that point, it hit full TP again right now. And I just gave that update for that position. Let's see our other positions to see how they're playing out as well. Our UJ right here is still in profit. It's making its way down to full TP. So this could be good as well. Our EG right here still in profit. So it's looking good as well. Our odd NZD pulled back on Friday, but it's now dropping back down to full TP down here. So this is looking great as well. And lastly, our odd JPY looks like it spiked up on Friday. And this can either be rejecting off this point and coming straight back down, or it can be reversing for the week. We just really wouldn't know until, you know, all the markets are open. Right now, it's just the Aussie and the Asian market just opened at 4. So we'll see how this plays out. But most of us got out at TP2. So I got out at TP2 down here for 25 pips. So hopefully you guys are using the exit strategy, because it's really important that you guys are locking in profits, especially during, you know, the holidays and during times of uncertainty like right now, because we have Thanksgiving coming up. You know, we're not really certain how many people are going to be trading during the holiday week, especially with it being a U.S. holiday. You know, U.S. is one of the biggest markets, so a lot of the people participating in the U.S. market might not be trading. So just keep in mind, guys, use the exit strategy every single time. I mean, you guys aren't required to, but if you guys want, you know, optimal results, optimal profits, I always recommend that you guys use the exit strategy at all times. But yeah, guys, thanks for showing up today. I know it's a little early. You know, Sunday, generally, I usually have this, you know, Monday morning with the Monday session, but it seemed like last Monday was a bit rushed, and that's why I wanted to do it this Sunday so that we can get all the zones out of the way and be ready to, you know, hit the ground running with the market as everything reopens on Monday. But if you guys are brand new here, just a reminder. So basically what we do during the weekly chart analysis is I go down each pair right here on the watch list and I redraw these zones on the chart for you guys. That way you guys can see exactly where to trade and where not to trade. Because if you look at the zones here, you can see that these zones are very well respected throughout the market. You can see that these zones that were drawn last week were respected back in September, back in August, back in July, all the way up until June. So, you know, if these zones are respected 6 months back, you know, odds are it's probably going to be respected 6 months forward as well. So as long as you guys have these zones on the chart, you'll know exactly where to trade and where not to trade. And by that, I mean, if you're taking a buy position, you're not going to continue riding that up if it's reaching a new zone right here, because you can see you could have entered as price rejected from here, broke into an open zone and rode that up. But as price reached this upper zone right here, you might have wanted to move your stop loss and profit so that if it comes down like it did right here, you'd get stopped out in profit, right? Same situation with here. Price pretty much just bounces from zone to zone. So as long as you guys have these zones on your chart, you guys will be able to see exactly where and where not to trade, because you don't want to be trading near these zones where, you know, odds are price is likely to reject from them. And I'm doing this for you guys all free of charge because I'm here to help you guys. You know, I'm not here to upsell you guys anything. If you guys want access to the K2 indicators so you guys can do this yourself, you know, it's available to you guys, but I'm not like pushing this on you guys. I'm here to just help you guys and make sure that you guys have an edge in the market, you know, entering the next trading week. So we'll get started with odd CAD right here. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be going down the watch list from top to bottom right here. So if you guys do have my watch list, if not, you can get on the K2 website. But basically, I'll be going down these in order. So if you guys want to go back and rewatch the live and pull the zones from, you know, all these zones that I'm drawing on the chart, you guys can just go ahead and rewind the replay back to each specific pair so that you guys can see exactly where the zones have been drawn. If you guys have questions, I can stop and answer them if, you know, if they're coming up. So if you guys have any specific pairs that you guys want me to analyze more in detail, so that, you know, if it's something that you guys are looking at for the week, just put it in the chat and then I can take my time once we get to that chart. Otherwise, I'm just going to zoom through these pairs and just draw these zones up for you guys so you guys can, you know, be ready for the week. And at the end, I can answer more questions. But if you guys do ask me, say if I'm down here at EJ, right, and you guys want me to analyze odd CAD, we're already, you know, a few pairs ahead of that. So if that happens, I'm just going to go back and cover odd CAD once we're done with all the pairs. That way there's no mix up and everything is done in order. But yeah, guys, so let's get started. I'll get started with odd-CAD right here. Let's see how this looks. So for odd-CAD right here, I'm just going to do this from scratch. I'm going to zoom out right here. I'm going to clear the chart. I'm going to turn on the K²SR version 2 indicator right here. And then I'm going to draw my zones on the chart. So I'll pull up my rectangle tool right here. Just click this, click rectangle. And then I'm going to draw my zones on the chart right here. Normally, this is what the rectangle tool looks like. It just looks like a normal rectangle. If you guys want it to extend to the sides like I do, just double click on it and then click extend right and extend left right here. That way you get a nice zone right there. And basically, if the zones overlap like they do right here, then instead of creating, two zones right here, we just create one big zone, because obviously you're not going to be trading within this little space from this zone to this zone right here, because it's only about 3 pips. So it's going to be impossible for you to make any profit if you trade within that little zone. So you can go ahead and just create one big zone instead of creating multiple small zones in order to clean up your chart. So right here is that upper zone. Down here, we're going to create this lower zone right here. Again, right here. This lower zone down here. This zone right here. This zone down here, and this last zone way down here. So after we're done with that, we can turn off the K²SR indicator. And then if you guys zoom out from here, you can see that price respects these zones, pretty perfectly. So right here, price is within this zone currently. And in order for us to analyze this, we are going to turn on the momentum indicator to identify the direction of momentum. Right here, we have a bullish momentum with this previous buy signal right here. So if price breaks this zone right here, we could take a long position right there and ride it to the next zone right here for about 50 pips. Because basically when price breaks these zones right here, odds are it's probably going to push to the next zone up here. And by doing so, we can enter a buy position right there and pretty much ride this to the next zone for full TP. And it's really that simple, guys. A lot of people want to overcomplicate trading, but in reality, it's a lot better if you just make it simple. So like right here, same situation. Price was below the zone right here. We had a buy signal. Price broke the zone right here. So if you were to enter a long position right here to the next zone, which could have been like somewhere up here to this next zone up here, we could have done that for like a gain of 60 pips. And it did exactly that. So you can see right here, price broke the zone. We could have taken a long position right there. And price went from this zone, it retraced down a little bit to retest the zone that it just broke. And then it shot all the way up to the next zone right here, which would have hit full TP. So same situation right here. We're anticipating price to, if and when it does break this zone, it will likely push up from this zone to this zone up here to hit our full TP. Vice versa, if we had a sell signal like we did right here, you can see that price broke the zone downwards and we have a sell momentum right here, right? If we had that, we can take a short position right here and pretty much ride this to this next zone over here, because you can see that price goes both ways. You don't have to trade in one direction. As long as the requirements are met using the K²SR strategy, you'd be able to catch this move right here. So you could have caught this buy this way, and as price broke down the zone this way and we had a sell signal, you could have caught it this way as well. So it goes both ways. And yeah, it's pretty much what I see happening for odd-CAD right there. So if you guys are looking for the zones, this upper zone right here is going to be 0.95922. And this lower zone right here is going to be 0.95486. And if you guys are thinking about taking that buy right here, like I mentioned, this upper zone right here is going to be 0.96468. So pretty much as easy as that, guys. You guys just need to know where the zones are and the direction of momentum. Let's see. Cool. So Spencer wants me to check out NZD CAD, GU, and GJ. So once we get to those pairs, as we move down further, I'll take some time on those specific pairs so that I can analyze them more in detail and give you guys my analysis of that specific pair with regard to how it plans on moving for the rest of the week. So we're done with odd CAD right here. We're going to move on to the next one, odd CHF. And like I mentioned, we're going to go down this watch list in order. So if you guys want to go back and watch the replay, you guys are more than welcome. It's going to be really simple. You just go back and then rewind to the specific pair that you guys want to look at. So right here for audit CHF, like I mentioned in the past, generally these zones don't always create new zones. And generally we create new zones within the week. So sometimes the zones are going to be in the same exact place. So instead of me having to redraw all these zones, I'm just going to turn on the indicator, see if they line up with the current zones like they do right here. And if they line up perfectly, then there's no point in me redrawing the zones unless you guys want to see me do it from scratch, which is also easy, but it's even easier to just adjust the current zones with current price. So you can see right here when I take off the my current zones, you can see that the SR zones are right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, and down here as well. So if I turn on my zones, you can see that they line up perfectly. And in this situation, we don't really need to make many changes. So right here, it looks like the zone pushed down a little farther. So we can just move this down a little bit slightly. But other than that, it looks perfectly fine. So I'm not going to go and redraw the zones unless you guys want me to. So all the zones are right there. I'm going to turn off the indicator. Price is currently right here in the middle of these two zones. So this upper zone over here is going to be 0.66848. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.66091. So those are the two zones closest to current price. And if I turn on the momentum indicator, we have a sell momentum right here. So price is pretty much just ranging within these zones. We won't have an entry until price either breaks. So we have a sell momentum right here. We'd want price to break below this zone. However, if we get a buy signal, then we would want price to break above this zone before we take an entry. So that's that for odd CHF. Odd CHF is naturally like a slow moving pair. So, you know, odds are it's probably not going to break past it until there's some sort of news event or something that causes momentum to swing in a certain direction. So we'd have to wait for price to break above or to break below for there to be an entry, because you don't want to get stuck in this range and you enter a sell position and then it ends up spiking up like this, or you enter a buy position and then it ends up spiking down like this to this next zone. So I'd be careful with odd CHF. I personally wouldn't take this trade right now. So let's move on to the next one, odd JPY. See if the zones, oh, sorry, I didn't. Oh no, I did. I gave you guys these parameters. So let's go back to odd JPY right here. Let's go and see if the zones line up with the K2SR levels. So let me zone out from here. Let's see. And if they're way different, then I'll just go and redraw some new zones, because you know, the zones aren't always going to be the same. But if they are, it just wouldn't make sense for me to redraw the zones, right? So right here, we have another upper zone over here. All the zones have been drawn. You can see that we have the K2SR levels right here. And then you guys can see my zones drawn right over them. So for odd JPY right here, price is currently right over here within this current zone. So this upper zone right here is going to be 76.173. And this lower zone down here is going to be 75.762. So like I mentioned earlier, you know, price pushed up from here on Friday. And it can either push up even further or it can reject off this point. So there's two scenarios that can happen here. It can either push up, and hopefully if you guys are in this position, you guys moved your stop loss and profit once it reached TP2 down here for 25 pips, like most of us. If not, then you know, you can probably just hold on and see if it rejects off this point, because this specific candle hasn't closed yet. It's still an active candle and it's only 4 o'clock. So this candle is going to close in about an hour. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to close within the zone. It can pull back right before the candle close and then drop straight back down. So I wouldn't get too scared about this just yet. I would just wait, because I mean, for the most part, the JPY has usually been pretty strong for the past week. And you know, with COVID, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So this might come crashing right back down if you guys still have it active. But remember to move your stop loss, you know, just in case, if you're following the signals that I'm putting out, because you don't want to get caught in this right here. You could have been out in profit for 25 pips down here. But if you didn't follow the exit strategy, you're probably in drawdown right now. So just keep that in mind moving forward, and make sure to eliminate your risk whenever possible and guarantee profits. So that's odd JPY right there. We'll move on to the next one, odd NZD right here, full in profit. So it's pretty deep in profit right now. Let me check if the zones are good. So let me see. I'm gonna hide this. Looks like the zones pretty much line up perfectly up there. These down here as well. So this is what I mean about adjusting the zone. So you can see right here that this zone is actually a lot smaller than it was last week. So what we do is we just adjust this right here and move it down to match up with the K2SR levels. These are perfectly fine. Let's see. These down here are perfectly fine. This one right here as well. And yeah, I mean, they all look pretty decent. So we don't have a lower zone right here on this 4 hour time frame. So if that happens, we just go on the higher time frame, like the 8 hour, and try to identify zones lower than current price. So nothing there on the 8 hour, nothing on the daily. So we'll go on the weekly. And you can see right there that I have these zones plotted from last week, these two red lines for the weekly zones. So that's why all of these zones are plotted up here. And then we also have these extra zones down here from the weekly. So price is currently within these two weekly zones right here. This upper zone right here is going to be 1.05444. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.04867. So those would be the nearest zones to current price. So keep those in mind for odd NZD. Looks like it's dropping down pretty heavy. So this might come down to hit our full TP by the end of tonight or maybe by tomorrow. Let's see, John got closed out at break even for John. I wouldn't re-enter odd JPY right now. Technically that trade's already done. If you got stopped out in profit, I wouldn't chase any trades, because if you do that, you might just be digging a deeper hole, especially if it's non-profit. So I wouldn't enter that trade right now. I would just wait for another entry. So if I go back to odd JPY over here, you can see that price is above here, right? So I wouldn't re-enter it until price breaks back below this zone. So if price breaks back below that zone, it's going to provide for a new entry. So when that happens, then you can enter the trade. But I wouldn't enter it and, just pray that it's going to come back down, because, it can literally just shoot right back up and, past this zone and switch into an uptrend. So I would hold off on that, especially after looking at, odd CHF. If you look at all these other AUD pairs, they're all kind of bullish. So it looks like the AUD is bullish right now, but there's no guarantee that it's going to continue, because you can see even for odd USD, it's reaching a resistance point. Same with odd CAD, it's stuck within a zone right now, and same with odd CHF. So this can actually come crumbling down at some point. So I wouldn't enter that just yet. I would wait for some sort of confirmation before actually entering that trade. So the last pair we covered was odd NZD. We're going to move on to the next one, odd USD over here. Let's see if these zones line up with last week's markup. So I'm going to go and hide my zones. You can see that this zone got a little smaller. So since it got a little smaller, we're just going to redraw these zones to conform to the current size. So this is perfectly fine. We've made those adjustments right there. This zone right here as well. This zone down there. So pretty much all the zones are pretty much perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the indicator. Price is currently within these two zones right here. This upper zone is going to be 0.73278, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.72660. So those are the two zones for odd USD right here. Let me go ahead and move on to the next one. Hey, Ed, how's it going? Looks like everyone's making it in right now. So it looks like CHF, CAD CHF right here. I'm going to go and see if the zones are the same from last week, just like I mentioned earlier. Let me go and hide this. Looks like the top zone's perfectly fine. Middle zone's good. So the difference is this zone right here. You can see that the zone kind of moved a little bit, so it's lower. I'm just going to make that small adjustment to conform to the current zone. So that's good right there. This zone is perfectly fine. And this See these lower zones right here perfectly. Now, okay, so there's a little difference right here. You can see that this zone right here moved down a little bit. So like I mentioned before, we're just gonna make small adjustments right here. There we go. Go ahead and hide the indicator. And as you can see right here, see if you go back to any pair, you can see that the zones are pretty respective of all these zones for pretty much any pair. It's not just a certain pair. It goes along for every single pair. You can see right here that price has been testing this zone right here. So now it's November 22nd. It's been testing this zone back in October, September, July. This has been testing the zone for a long time. So the first time it tested this zone more recently was in March. So price is currently in this area right here. You can see that the first time it tested it was back in March. It tested it again in April, May, June, July, August, September, and then again now in November. So you can see that price is in a strong zoned area. So you can expect a lot of rejections to happen once price reaches these next zones. So if price comes down here, odds are it's going to reject right off it, come right back up, and then literally can either break through it, come back down, any direction. But if you guys have these zones, you're going to be able to make an educated guess as to the direction of price. On top of that, if you turn on the K2 momentum indicator, you'll know exactly where price is going. We have a sell signal right here. So odds are price is going to come down, test this zone. Once it tests this zone, it can either break right below it and test this next zone, or it can break above it and range within this area. So with price currently between these two zones, I'm going to give you guys these price points so that you guys can identify, where to trade and where not to trade. This upper zone right here is going to be 0.69632, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.69469. So those are the two zones right there. And then with those two zoned areas, you can go ahead and identify, where price is likely to go. So that's CAD CHF right there. Move on to the next one. Nice, I didn't get to hear. Yeah, I didn't say all as well. Hopefully everything's good with everyone, because with COVID going on right now, it seems like a lot of people are uneasy, or depending on where you're located. Where I'm located here in California, we're having a lot of lockdowns and shutdowns, so it's like everyone's back home, and there's a lot of restrictions. But I know, like in Vegas or like Arizona, where I just was, the restrictions aren't as crazy. So depending on where you're located, I think also in Europe too, you guys are going through some lockdowns. So we're all in the same boat. It can be a blessing in disguise, honestly, because when the first lockdown happened, that's when I was able to focus on my trading and quit my job, as an attorney, so I could trade full time. So hopefully it's a blessing for you guys too. And hopefully you guys are making good time of, these restrictions where you have to stay home, because then there's not really much to do. You might as well just focus on your trading and get better at that, so that, you can maybe make this a full-time gig like I've done for myself. So here's CAD-JPY right here. Let me, oh yeah, so yeah, we're on partial lockdown in the Bahamas. Yeah, it seems like it's in a partial lockdown everywhere. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit worse as we move into the winter, because, people are just going to get sick, even though it's not COVID. Everyone's going to be straight to think that it's COVID. So we'll see how that plays out. So let me zoom out from here. I'm just going to see if these zones are lined up properly. So it looks like the zones have changed a bit from last week. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this from scratch. Delete everything from there, zoom out from there, and then draw my zones from this point. All right. So you guys can see how easy it is to draw these zones. This isn't difficult at all, guys. As long as you guys follow the directions, you guys should be able to do this without even really thinking very much about it. But okay, so we have that zone. We have the upper zones, middle zones, and this last lower zone down here. You guys can see I drew these zones in like a few seconds. Turn off the K2 indicator, zoom out, and there you go. You can see that these zones pretty much go way back to August of last year. So price is currently right here. You can see how strong these zones are, because history just repeats itself. So this zone was tested here. It was tested in September, July, March, and then it was testing. You can see how it kind of ranged within this area. It was ranging in the same area around this time last year, August, September. And then again, back in January. And then again, this is actually a really strong zone. So check this out. This same zone was tested back in April of 2017. Again, back in October of 2016. It seems like around this time of the year, price gets stuck within the zoned area. So if you go back, to historical data, you guys can see that that this same price point has been tested so much every year around the same time. So that'll give you an idea that, there's probably going to be a lot of rejections happening around these areas, or, once price breaks out of these zones right here, you can probably catch a pretty big move. So if price breaks below here, you can probably catch this huge move downwards right there for like 70 pips. Or if price breaks above it, you can catch this huge move upwards as well. You can go both ways. So that's what I mean about these zones being very important. So for CAD JPY, this upper zone right here is going to be 79.407, and this lower zone down here is going to be 79.231. And during the week, we will go over these more in detail, once we do our actual live trading room and look for actual trades. But currently, I'm just going to give you guys the zones so that you guys can see exactly what to look out for. Nice. Usman said, first snowfall here in MTL. Usman, what's MTL? Sorry, I have no idea. So let me, I'm going to Google it. Let me see. MTL. Oh, Montreal. Okay. Sorry. I'm not familiar with the Canadian abbreviations. But yeah, Usman said first snowfall here in Montreal. So nice. Thankfully, it doesn't snow here in California. I couldn't deal with snow. So, power to you if you can go shovel that snow out there. I was just talking to one of my cousins the other day. He was like, yeah, you can never see me shoveling snow either. I don't know if C's here. We were talking about that the other day too. I don't know. I can't deal with snow, guys. It's too cold for me. Yadin said, I see a lot of new vaccine news in the U.S. Yeah. So Pfizer, one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies, they have they submitted like an emergency vaccine to the FDA, which is the Federal Drug Administration. So basically, if that gets approved, then they'll send that out to the hospitals, and that'll just snowball the effect of the vaccine reaching like the masses. So once that happens, we can probably see the market pick up with volatility as people start to speculate, with regard to COVID being cured or COVID getting worse or anything like that. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be beneficial to us because obviously it's going to cause some sort of volatility in the market, which will help us, catch these trades. So sorry, I don't know if I mentioned the zones for this, guys, but for CAD JPY, this upper zone is going to be 79.400. It's going to round that up. And this lower zone down here is going to be 79.235. So that's it for CAD JPY. Let's move on to the next one, CHF JPY. Let's see if these zones line up with the zones from last week. So let me see. Yeah, the zones line up pretty perfectly. So I'm just going to leave the zones as they are. Price is currently within these two zones right here. I'm going to give you the upper zone over here, which is 114.200. I'm just going to round that down. And this lower zone right here is going to be 113.700. So there's a lot of space right there. Let's see, we got a buy signal right here, but I think if price is to drop down further and close below here, we'll probably get a sell signal, and then you can pretty much ride this thing down right there. Kind of similar to what happened right here. Price broke the zone right here. We had a sell signal. You could have entered a sell position right here and made a really nice profit for 66 pips right there. So this gives us even better confirmation that the JPY is probably going to be strong if it does push down right here. So John, if you're still looking at all JPY, I know we discussed it earlier, it'll probably it'll probably come down. So, I mean, we'll wait and see how that plays out. But, you know, this gives you a good understanding as to how the JPY will be moving. Yonan said, no snow in Western Australia too. So good. Please, let's hit TPs this week. Yeah, Yonan. You know, we both kind of live in similar climates where it's, you know, nice and warm all year round, which is perfect for me. But yeah, definitely, I'm really hoping we have a great trading week. You know, even with the holiday week, because like I mentioned earlier, the holiday week could be a blessing in disguise, or it can be it can be horrible. So you know, we're gonna still be careful with our trades, because with the low volatility, we're not gonna want to take too many risks. Because if the volatility is too low during the holiday week, because you know the U.S. market might be a lot slower than it normally is, if it goes sideways and you enter a trade, you know, once we enter the market next week, price can spike up and either stop you out or hit your TP, or it can spike down. It can either spike in either direction, and that's generally what happens when price consolidates for, you know, an X amount of period. Like you can see right here, if I zoom out, you can see that whenever price consolidates, it usually breaks out in one direction or the other. So like right here, you can see price consolidated, then it spiked up pretty heavy. Same situation right here, price consolidated, then it spiked down pretty heavy. So price is in consolidation right now for the JPY pairs, so it can literally spike in either direction. So, you know, we're still going to be conservative because we want to be locked into a position and then get caught in the spikes, whether it be, you know, good or bad. I personally like to take trades that I know are, you know, almost guaranteed to win. So I'm not going to want to take any unnecessary risk if it's not required. So we've gone over CAD CHF right here. Move on to the next one, Euro odd. Let's see if these zones line up with last week's zones. So just a disclaimer, guys, I did draw these zones last Thursday before the market closed. I'm sure you guys saw during the live trading room. So a lot of these zones are probably going to be the same. So in that situation, we're not going to have to, you know, obviously redraw these zones a second time if they're in the same exact position as I've drawn last week. So looking at these zones right here, it looks like everything is, I mean, for the most part, the same. However, some of them have changed, like this one down here. But everything else overall looks perfectly fine. So with that said, we're not going to need to draw the zones over again. So price is currently within these two zones over here. If I turn on the momentum indicator, we do have a sell signal that's pending right now. So this could be a really good thing, because let me see. We can probably catch a little trade here for 30 pips off Euro odd. However, if price breaks below here, then we could have a bigger move down to the lower side right here, because the low over here is going to be about, okay, so it's over 100 pips, 114 pips from this zone over here. So if price breaks below this zone, we could probably have a 100 pip move for EA. But looking at EA right now, sorry guys, let me check my message right here. Sorry, I'm looking at my my text messages real quick. Sorry, it's one of our local traders going to be in the area. Right, have him stop by at the K² office real quick. But yeah, so that's Euro odd right there, guys. This upper zone right here is going to be 1.62303. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, 1.62303, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.61820. So that's where price currently is. Like I mentioned, if price breaks below the zone, it's going to be a nice move downwards, guys. So it's going to be a great entry if and when that happens. But we'll have to wait and see, you know, once price reaches that area, or once this candle closes in 44 minutes, before we decide whether to take an entry or not. Because we can still take a small sell right here if this closes, but I wouldn't want to take it if there's not enough cushion to the next zone, because you don't want to enter a sell and then it rejects off this point, and then you're in some drawdown, because it's like impossible for you to exit the trade and profit due to your spread. but we'll see how that plays out. Let's keep moving on to the next pairs. All right, I just want to make sure I don't skip Spencer's question though. Spencer wants me to look at NZD CAD, GU, and GJ. So once I get down there, it looks like the first one we're going to reach is GJ right here. As we continue to move down further, we will take some time on those specific pairs so I can analyze them more in detail for Spencer. So looking at, Usman said there's a lot of news for Euro this week. So let me look at the calendar right here. Oh, there is. Yeah. So Monday, actually tonight, there's going to be Euro news. So we're probably not going to take any Euro trades off the 10-hour or at the 10 p.m. 4-hour candle close because it's only 2 hours away from the news. And it looks like, there's going to be a ton of stuff happening during the London session. So it's going to be super risky to be holding, trades during that time. So I probably won't be calling any trades if we get too late into that, that zone. And there's nothing really worth taking because this is too risky for us to enter trades during London session, like early London session, or be in an active trade because price can literally spike in our direction or against it. So, like I mentioned earlier, we want to be very careful with the positions we're taking, especially because it is a holiday weekend. Or not weekend, it's holiday week with Thanksgiving landing right here on the 26th. So we'll try to lock in as many, trades as we can for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then probably Wednesday morning, afternoon, we're probably going to cut off our trades for the week because the 26th is a holiday and the volatility is probably going to be dead on the 27th because that's considered Black Friday for us. And a lot of people are just not going to be in the market. But we'll take the market as it comes and we'll see how it plays out. We're not going to be scared to take trades. If there's trades available, we're going to take them. But if there's none available, then obviously, we're not going to force trades for no reason. But looking at Euro CAD right here and turn on K2SRs. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like these zones line up pretty all right. Let me see this. I'm going to hide that. Looks like these zones right here, this one kind of extended out a bit. Right there. Delete this one right here. Oops. Because there's no zone right there. And the lower zones right here are perfect. So you guys can see the zones that are on the chart right here. And then you can match them up with the zones that I drew. And they line up perfectly. So the zones are fine from last week. Hide the indicator right here. And then price is currently, ranging between this upper zone and this lower zone right here. So let me look at the momentum indicator. Yeah, we have a buy momentum here, but price is literally just bouncing from this zone to this zone, and then from this zone to this zone right here. So until price breaks below this area, so price breaks below this area, then we'll take a sell. As long as the momentum is moving that direction, we can take a sell in this direction. However, if price breaks above here, we can take a buy in that direction as well. So we'll just have to wait and see how price moves. But for Euro CAD, it's usually a slow moving pair anyways. So it's probably not gonna have a ton of movement from now until then. Let's see. Spencer said, would you call GU in the next 4-hour candle? So I'm going to try to get to that before the next 4-hour candle, Spencer. I'm on Euro CHF right now, so I'm going to try to zoom through these real quick for the zones, and then I'll probably get to GU shortly, and I'll go over your GJ as well. Marissa said, "What's up, Shawn? I'm a bit late. Not sure if you called AUDJPY. Entered into a buy a couple hours ago. It's looking nice." So we were looking at that earlier. Let me just go back real quick. We're leaving off on Euro CHF right here, but let me pull up AUDJPY. So for AUDJPY, Marissa, we technically we still have a trade that's active from last week, but majority of us, I think all of us, got out in profit already at TP2 down here, like early last week on the 18th, I believe. So if people still might be in this trade. So for this, all of the AUD pairs are bullish. So we looked at AUD CAD, and then if you look at the correlation here, it's bullish. AUD CHF, it's bullish. AUDJPY, it's also bullish, and AUD USD, it's bullish as well. So it's demonstrating that the AUD is in strength right now and it's pushing up. However, it's reaching this zone right here on all of them. So like odd CAD is within the zone right now. Odd CHF is pushing up to the zone as well. And odd USD is pushing up to the zone too. So if price is pushing up like that, it might reject right off it. So you are in a good position right now for a buy. But the thing is, I'm not sure exactly how long it'll push up for, because the thing is, it's within a zone as well. So price can literally reject off here at any point in time. And since the zones are very similar for a lot of these other AUD pairs, it's going to be very difficult for us to determine whether it's going to continue up or not. So for AUDJPY, I would have held off on taking that trade until price broke above this zone, but you did get a head start on it, so you might be perfectly fine. But me personally, I'd wait for it to break above this zone so that I can pretty much ride this for a buy position to the next zone up here. But I mean, I'm not sure how you analyze it, Marcel, but if you did analyze it like how I did with the correlation of the pairs for the AUD pairs, they do look bullish. So it might push up further right here and push up to the next zone once it breaks it. However, it's kind of in a tight spot right now because it's within this zone. This candle still has 37 minutes left on it. So within those 37 minutes, price can just wick down right here and continue back in the bearish direction. Because let me just see if I can find an example here. So like right here, I'm sure people were entering a buy position somewhere over here. Let me just hide this. Because during this time, these candles never closed up in that direction. So you can see there's a wick right there because price probably pushed up, and then as it got close to the 4-hour candle close, it pushed right back down and then it came crashing down further. So this is something that might happen. I'm not saying it's going to, or that it might happen, or that it will happen, but there's a possibility that it could reject off this point. So if you are in a buy right now, like I think you mentioned that you are in a buy a couple hours ago, I would move your stop loss and profit as it continues to move up further. So if it continues to move up, up to here, I would move your stop loss and profit so that if it does reverse on you like this, then, and if your stop loss is in profit somewhere like right here, you can get stopped out in profit and you won't get caught on this drop down further. So me personally, I wouldn't take it just yet because it's stuck within the zone right here. You can see that price has it's repeated this pattern a couple of times. So you can see price comes up, rejects off this zone like it did right here, and then it pushes up a little high up to this area. But then once it reached close to this upper zone, it just came crashing right back down. So that's a possibility. There's a bunch of different scenarios here. Like how I mentioned first, price can either break above it and then continue up to the next zone, or scenario number 2, price can push up to, close to this zone right here and reject off and drop back down, similar to what happened over here. So there's a lot of different things that can happen with AUDJPY. However, looking at the other JPY pairs, they're either consolidating sideways, or so this is consolidating, CHF is consolidating, KJPY is consolidating, GJ is going up. So there's no one direction with the JPY pairs. They're all either consolidating or they're moving upwards. So depending, and UJ right here is heading down. So there's no unity within all the JPY pairs. So it's kind of hard to really gauge, the direction of where it's going to go. So I would just, I'd be careful with it. I'm not trying to jinx your trade or anything, but me personally, I would just be careful. At least move your stop loss and profit, so you don't get caught on any side. You at least guarantee profits and eliminate your risk, so that you'll have all of the upside if it shoots up, or if it pulls back down, at least you made some profit off it, and then you can go on and look for the next trade. Let's see. Mercedes said it might come down, and I think that very may well happen. Also looked at the other AUD pairs. That's kind of how I decided to enter the trade. I'm actively managing my position though. That's smart, Merciful. So as long as you're managing your position and you're not just, letting it do what you think it's going to do, you should be perfectly fine. Because as long as you get to a point where you eliminate the risk and, you have no risk or no Yeah, no risk involved with, both directions. Then you could have all of the upside here. If it pushes up, then, it's awesome, because then you already locked in profits and you're just locking in more profits. However, if price comes down, you can get stopped out in profit as well. So it's a win-win for you as long as you move your stop loss in profit. But I would just be careful with a specific position right now. Let me go back. I think I left off on Euro CHF right here. Let me sit down, guys. I'm getting tired of standing. So I got my standing desk coming down. So looking at Euro CHF right here, let me see if the zones are lined up pretty well. So let me hide this right here. Looks like this zone right here has changed a bit. So I'm probably going to just connect these two zones right here. And then I'm gonna have to figure out what that upper zone is over there, because it's not part of the 4-hour candle. So let me go on the 8-hour. Yeah, it looks like I drew that zone on the 8-hour. So I'll go back to the 4-hour right here. And it looks like all the other zones are lined up pretty nicely. You can see that the zones are pretty much the same as I did last Thursday. So I'll zoom out from here, turn off the indicator, and give you guys these price points. So the upper zone right here is going to be price is currently ranging within these areas right here. You can see it's obviously bouncing up and down from this point. And the momentum is going upwards right here, right? So price already came up. So we had this buy momentum. Price came up, rejected off this point. We're probably going to get a sell signal soon. And it's probably going to come down to this point. And once that happens, it can either break below and then provide for a sell entry right here, or it can break above and then provide for a buy entry right there. So it really depends on where price moves from the specific point. But the upper zone right here is going to be 1.08141, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.7979. So once price breaks, like I mentioned, above here or below here, then that'll give you a better understanding as to where to enter a position. Obviously, you don't want to enter the trade if it's just ranging within these two zones, because you don't want to get caught on the wrong side. But yeah, let me keep going down the list real quick. I know a lot of people are trying to catch some moves for the next 4-hour candle close, and I am too. So I want to go and just draw these zones up real quick. I want to make sure that everything is lined up, and I'm just going to zoom through this, guys. So Spencer, I did see that you wanted me to go over NZD CAD, GU, and GJ. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go and avoid all questions right now. And I'm just going to go down and draw all these zones and give you guys the parameters, because we have about 30 minutes from the next candle close. And I'm going to have to look for trades, once we get to that point. So looking at EG right here, this is a current position we have active from last week. It's currently in profit and on its way to full TP right here. Let me go ahead and turn on the K2SR indicator. Looks like the zones are pretty much the same. The only difference is that we have another zone right here. So price is currently breaking this new zone that we just drew right here. If that happens, it's probably going to continue down even further. So I'm going to hide that. This upper zone right here where price just broke is going to be 0.89153. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.88771. So that's it for EG. Move on to EJ. Keep going over this right here, zoom out. Let me see. So the zones here look, for the most part, they look fine. I'm just going to delete these extra zones that were drawn from last week. I'm going to make some adjustments to this one right here. Let's see if I could change these up right here as well. So that looks good. I'm going to create two zones for this one right here. And that looks about fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the indicator. Price is currently within the zone right here. This upper zone is going to be 123.243, and this lower zone down here is going to be 122.845. So those are the two zones closest to current price for EGA. I'll move on to the next one, EN. This is the EN that we hit full TP for 80 pips just now. Let me go ahead and turn on the K²SR indicator. So guys, I'm going to zoom through this just like I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to get all the zones out and provide them to you guys so that you guys can look for trades. But I'm just going to zoom through this, and then after that, I'll go over all the questions. So here's EN right here. We don't have a lower zone right there, so I'm going to go on the 8-hour. Looks like the 8-hour doesn't have any zones down there. Go on the daily. No zones down there. Go on the weekly. Looks like EN kind of pushed kind of into the middle of nowhere. That's why there's no zones down there. So yeah, all the zones are fine right here. It looks like it's going to keep pushing down and, you know, reach for this lower zone down here. So that's a big move, guys. If me, I might even just play a sell position for EN and just ride this thing down. It's about a 275 pip move to the next zone right here. However, price might reject off this point. So I think once price breaks this certain area right here, this is just like an imaginary zone that might get created at some point. If it breaks this price point, it'll probably continue down further. However, until then, it could also reject off it. So I'd be careful with this because this is like a double bottom right here or a triple bottom, and then it can reject off it or it can break below. But yeah, looking at EN right here, let's give you guys this upper zone. This upper zone is going to be, that's going to be 1.71642. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.67790. Sorry, it's 1.67790. So that's it for EN right there. Move on to the next one, EU. Let me, oh, fuck, what did I do? I did something. There we go. All right, so let me turn on this. I'm gonna hide my zones. Looks like the zones line up pretty fine from the last week, so we don't need to make any changes there. Just turn that off. Price is currently within these two zones right here. So price is testing this upper zone right here, which is 1.18740. And this lower zone down here is going to be 1.18312. So that's it for EU right there. Move on to the next one, GA. Turn on the K²SR indicator. Looks like everything pretty much lines up. I'm just going to move this down a little lower. Yeah, I'm gonna delete this, not there anymore. Everything else looks pretty much fine, guys. So looking at GA right here, I'm gonna turn this off. This price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 1.82176, and this lower zone right here is going to be 1.81716. And yeah, for you guys that are just joining, I'm just going to zoom through these pairs real quick so I can draw these zones because the 4-hour candle closed in about 26 minutes. So I want to make sure that I can look for trades with all of the new zones before we reach that candle close. This is GCAD right here. One of the members asked me about GCAD. There was an entry right here, and I'll show you why, because we have the momentum indicator. Price broke this zone right here. We had a buy momentum, so then it provided for an entry using the K²SR strategy. If you enter this trade right here, it'd be halfway to full TP and nearly to full TP currently. So price is currently within these two zones. I'm going to hide this. Let me go ahead and check if the zones are on properly. So hide this. Let me make sure everything here is cool. And GCAD's a bit of a weird pair, guys. It moves kind of weird, kind of like with the other pairs that are paired with CAD. So you can see here that there is usually a lot of unusual rejection points, but you can see that price is currently breaking this current zone, or it's trying to break this current zone. If it breaks the zone, then we can anticipate this to shoot on further. It'll provide for an entry for us that I can call, and then we could probably ride this thing up. But yeah, price is currently trying to break this zone. So I'll give you this upper zone right here, which is 1.74832. And this lower zone down here, I'm just going to skip this one because price is trying to break it already. This lower zone down here is going to be 1.73766. So those are the two zones closest to current price. Move on to the next one, GBP CHF right here. Turn the K2SR indicator. It looks like, I'm just going to redraw the zones, guys, because it's kind of messy. So I have the indicator on, pull up the rectangle tool, draw this upper zone, that one right there, that one right there, that one. And I hate when the zones, when there's like so many zones in one area, it's kind of hard to analyze it. So let me just draw one big zone right here. All right, cool. So I'm gonna hide that. Price is currently breaking this zone right here. Same with GCAD over here. So it looks like they're moving in the same direction. They might be some good buys right there. So the thing is, if price breaks this zone and price breaks this zone right here, we'll have two entries for GCAD and GCHF. So this upper zone right here is going to be 1.21670, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.21021. Sorry if I'm going too fast, guys, but we have a bit of a time crunch right here, 23 minutes before the candle closes. And move on to GJ right here. Looks like all the GBP pairs, sorry, are all moving upwards. So looks like all the zones are pretty much lined up with what I drew last week. So they're fine. I don't have to draw new zones or make any adjustments. Price is currently within these two zones right here and breaking this current zone. So I'm going to give you this upper zone right here, which is 138.869. This lower zone down here is going to be 137.878. So that's it for GJ right there. I'm going to come back and reanalyze this for Spencer a little later, but we're going to keep moving through right now. GN right here, I'm going to turn on the K2SR indicator, zoom out from this point, hide the indicators. Looks like the price is, I mean, the zones are pretty much lined up perfectly fine from last week. So we're not going to have to redraw these zones. I'm just going to move this down a little further because it looks like price has pushed down since then. So looking at the K2SR indicator right here, I'm going to hide that. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 1.92205, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.90994. And that's it for GN right there. Move on to the next one, GU. Turn on the K2SR indicator. Hide that. Looks like all the zones pretty much line up perfectly. This one could be adjusted slightly. But everything else looks perfectly fine, looks like to me. Probably adjust this a little bit. And adjust this right here. Looks like this zone right here disappeared. Take that off. Everything else looks, let's adjust this. Looks like this is connected with that. This one is connected with this. There we go. Looks like everything moved up as price moved up. Looks like we don't have an upper zone here for GU, or actually we do. So I already have the upper zone from, I guess, the 8-hour. Yeah, looking at price right here, I'm gonna hide this. Price is currently breaking this zone. Looks like the GBP is actually really strong right now, guys. So that's gonna give even better confirmation for us to take buys for GCAD, GBP CHF, and GU right here. So with price currently right here, the upper zone is going to be 1.34675, and this lower zone that was just broken is going to be 1.33142. So it looks like we're going to have some buys, guys, for the GBP pairs. So I'm going to try to get through all the rest of these zones, and then hopefully I can call some trades off the next 4-hour candle close. So guys, looking at NZD CAD right here, all these NZD pairs are kind of messy from last week, guys. So we're probably not going to have any nice entries or any nice zones to draw, but I'm still going to look at them anyway. So looks like these zones are perfectly fine on the 4-hour. I'm going to check out the 8-hour right here because I'm just trying to figure out where the next upper zone is, because it looks like we created a bunch of zones here, but they're not from the 4 hour, not from the 8 hour either. Looks like a couple of these are from the daily. And this upper zone is from the weekly. So nothing needs to be really changed right now. It looks like there aren't very many 4 hour zones that were created recently. So price is currently in this huge open area right here. This upper zone over here is going to be 0.91444, and this lower zone right here is going to be 0.90096. So it doesn't look like there's a new zone coming up anytime soon. So this might actually push way up to this next zone before it either rejects off it or continues back upwards. So that's NZD CAD. Move on to NZD CHF. Let's see. Same situation here with NZD CHF. So NZD CAD, NZD CHF, there were no new zones that were created since like last week. So price is currently breaking this zone right here. So we're going to have to look for a higher zone coming up. Doesn't look like there's anything on the 8 hour. We'll go on the daily. All right. So this zone right here is super far off, guys. So same situation with NZD CAD. It looks like it's got a long way to go if it closes above this zone right here. So this might be, you know, an entry for a new buy. Let me look at the momentum indicator. We do have a buy momentum right here. So price breaks above this point, we'll take a buy position and ride this thing up. It's got a long way to go. So I'm just going to give you guys the upper zone right here. Hide this, hide that. The upper zone right here is pretty far, but it's I'm just going to give it to you guys anyways. It's going to be 0.65425, and this lower zone right here that it's currently breaking is going to be 0.63268. So if price breaks the zone, it's got a long way to go up. Let's pull up NZD JPY right here. I'm going to pull up these zones, turn on the K2SR indicator. So let's make sure that everything is just lined up perfectly fine. So right here, can make a small adjustment to this upper zone right here. Otherwise, everything else looks pretty much cool. I'm going to delete this one right here. It's not there anymore. Everything else looks fine, guys. So yeah, actually this zone right here is not there anymore either. So everything looks cool. Cleaned it up a bit. Hide that. Price is currently within this zone right here. So I'm going to give you guys this upper zone and this lower zone down here. This upper zone right here is going to be 72.302. And this lower zone down here is going to be 71.644. So if price breaks above this zone right here, pretty sure we have a buy momentum as we do right there. If price breaks above it, it'll provide for a buy entry. But like I mentioned before, the JPY pairs are pretty mixed right now. So it's a bit risky to take the JPY until, you know, there's some sort of unity within the JPY pairs across the board. So we've covered NJ right there, looking at NU right here. Just want to make sure our zones are fine. So looks like there's a bunch of zones here that aren't there anymore. Similar with the other NZD pairs, they're kind of far off. So looking at this here, nothing there. I'm just trying to figure out where that upper zone is. Nothing on the daily. So yeah, that zone is drawn on the weekly. So the zones are still there. This upper zone over here is going to be 0.69688. And this lower zone down here is going to be 0.68785. So that's going to be it for NU right there. Move on to the next one. USD CAD. Let's see. Looks like the zones line up pretty fine. Draw this right here. Hide this indicator. All right, everything looks perfectly fine there, guys. So looking at USD CAD right here, price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone right here is going to be 1.30805, and this lower zone down here is going to be 1.30461. So if you guys can't catch the zones that I'm calling out, just make sure to look on this side right here. So you can see that the number, the price point that I'm actually pointing at is going to be right here on the right-hand side, in case you guys missed what I said, or if I'm saying it a little too fast. I'm just trying to zoom through, guys, because we have 15 minutes for the next candle close. So that's it for USD CAD right there. I'm going to analyze these a little further as we look for trades. So NZD CHF right here, is going to be pretty much the same as last week, so we don't have to redraw them. Price is currently within these two zones. This upper zone is going to be 0.91330, and this lower zone down here is going to be 0.90929. And that's it for NZD-CHF, sorry, USD-CHF. This is an active position we have for UJ right here. Let's see if the zones have changed at all. Looks like all the zones are pretty much the same except for this new zone that was created today. All right, so hiding this right here, price is currently within this zone. So I'm going to give this lower zone right here, which is 103.651. And this upper zone right here is going to be 104.027. So those are the two zones closest to current price right now. And this is what I meant about the JPY pair. So UJ is coming down pretty heavy. NJ is going up, and there's a whole bunch of uncertainty in the market, you know, with regard to the direction of price. GJ is heading up. EJ is kind of consolidating, is trying to push up. CHF JPY is consolidating. KED JPY is consolidating, and AUD JPY is pushing up as well. So it's a little bit of a risky pair to trade. However, you know, we'll see how this plays out. So that's it for the zones for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and look for any entries off the next 4-hour candle close and see if there's anything that we can take right now. So you guys will see how I analyze the trades. I'm probably going to go through this pretty quick too, because we only have a few minutes before the candle closes. But I'm going to be using the K2SR strategy, which is what I use for every FX signal that I call. So for AUD-CAD right here, there's currently no entry. Let me just zoom out from here. Yeah, currently no entry right here. If price was to break above this zone, then it would provide for a long position right there. But price hasn't broken above it yet, so there's no entry available. Let's move on to AUD-CHF. Same situation right here. Price is stuck within this range between these two zones right here. So until price breaks above this zone right here, then I would take a buy. However, I wouldn't take any entries until then, because the last thing you want to do is enter a buy right here. And then as soon as you enter a buy, it either rejects off this point or it rejects right from where your entry was. And I'm sure you guys have run into that before, where you guys feel super confident about a trade going in a direction, and then it goes the opposite as soon as you enter the trade. So I wouldn't enter that trade right now until there's an entry available. Nothing right here for AUD-JPY. We still currently have a sell position active if you guys still have it from last week. However, most of us got out at TP2 for 25 pips in profit. AUD-NZD right here is coming down pretty heavy. No entry there because price has to break a zone and the momentum has to be pushing that direction as well. AUD-USD right here, same situation, no entry. If price was to break above it, then we would have an entry for a long position. But until then, we wouldn't take that trade. Vice versa, if price breaks below this zone right here with a sell signal like it did right here, we would have entered a short position. Reason why we didn't enter a short position right here was because price didn't break a zone. Price has to break the zone, and there has to be a sell signal previous or on that specific candle that crosses the zone. So nothing there for AUD-USD, CAD-CHF right here. It looks like, so technically there would be an entry right here for a sell. However, it's too close to this next zone. It's only about 8 pips. Spread's about 4 pips. You're gonna have to pay spread both ways, about 8 pips total. You wouldn't be able to make any profit off that trade, because if price comes down to here, odds are it can either reject off it, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of the trade, or it can break below it. So until price breaks a little further down and it's not close to a zone, then there's just no entry available at this time. Looking over at CAD-JPY right here, looks like we do have a sell signal right here. However, price would have to break below this zone right here for us to take a sell entry down like that, similar to what we took right here. So you can see price breaks the zone. So if I go ahead and replay this from right here, this is the strategy that I'm applying. I'm applying the K2SR strategy, where we wait for price to break a zone and close below it like it did right here. Then we confirm the direction of momentum. We have a sell signal right here. So it would provide for a short position right there, where we could pretty much ride it to the next zone, somewhere down here. So if we took this trade right here, we let that play out, and it would have hit full TP for 75 pips. The same situation where price currently is right here. We wait for price to break below this zone and take a sell position to this next zone down here. However, price hasn't broken the zone yet, so you got to be patient and wait for that confirmation before you enter this trade. Because if you enter a sell up here, what could happen here is price could just reject up and stop you out. You need to wait for that full confirmation before you enter this trade. So nothing there for CAD/JPY. Right here for CHF/JPY, we have a buy signal that is indicating a momentum swing upwards. However, price hasn't broken above this zone. So until price breaks above this zone right here, we won't have a long position available. However, if we get a sell signal, so you can see price is coming back down after it swung up and rejected off this point, right? So price is pretty much bouncing between these two zones right now. So until we get a sell signal like we did up here, same situation as what I covered with CAD/JPY earlier, you can see that right here we had a price break and close below this K2SR level, and we had a sell signal. So if you took a short position right there, you'd have hit full TP. Same situation right here. If price breaks above it, we could take a buy. However, if price breaks below it and we have a sell signal like we did right here, then we can take a short position right there. But until that confirmation comes, there's no entry. So nothing there for CHF/JPY. Over here for Euro AUD, the previous signal was a buy signal, but price closed below here. So until price breaks above this zone again, you can see that price tried to right here, but it rejected back down. Until price breaks above here, we won't have an entry for long position to this next zone right there for about 60 pips. However, if we get a sell signal right here and price closes below here, then we would have an entry for a short position right there. And we could pretty much write that down for 100 pips because like I mentioned before, it's got a long way to go if price closes below that point. But until that happens, there's not going to be no entry. Just keep in mind, guys, it is Sunday, so there's no volatility in the market right now. It's really slow. So until there's more volatility in the market, there's probably not going to be any entries available aside from the GBP pairs that we saw earlier. So looking at Euro CAD right here, we have a buy momentum signal right here. We wouldn't have an entry though until price breaks above this point, providing for a long entry. However, if we get a sell signal like we did right here and price breaks below here, then it would provide for a short position right there. But until then, no entry. Euro CHF, it's pretty much just consolidating within these two zones. You can see price goes from zone to zone. Literally goes up, comes down, comes back up, comes back down, comes back up, and then it's probably going to come back down. So no entry there either. We'd have to wait for price to break either above this zone for a buy or below this zone for a sell. We don't want to enter a trade when it's consolidating sideways because you might just be trapped in that trade and then the trade might reverse on you. So here's EG right here, one of our positions we have active. This will actually provide for another entry. So it's technically still active right now, but if price closes below this point, then it could provide for another entry down this way. So maybe I'll call a double entry for this. Because I do see it coming down. It's probably going to hit our full TP for our last position right here. It's almost there. And then it would provide for another entry down to here for, a same distance move. So I'll keep an eye on EG right here. This looks like a decent sell. However, we'll have to wait and see how this closes because this candle would have to close below that specific zone before we can enter that trade. Looking at EJ right here, we have a sell momentum signal. So we have to wait for this to close below here. Once that happens, we can enter a short position and ride this thing down. EN right here. So price did break the zone right here, but we don't have a sell momentum signal, right? So we don't have something like this. However, this would have been an entry, like a late entry from right here. This is actually one that we took and we hit full TP already. So if you look at our premium, right here, you can see that our EN position hit full TP for 80 pips already. So we did take that position that I was just talking about right here. However, where price currently is, there's no entry because price has to break a zone. There might have been an entry right here because technically there was two entries available. There was one right here and one right there, which probably both would have hit full TP. Let me see. Yeah, so full TP on that first entry right there. And then again right here, this would have been another full TP for that entry right there. So full TPs would have been hit already for both entries. So now you would just have to wait for another entry because there's no entry available for Euro NZD right there. I'm gonna zoom through these real quick, guys, because we have 5 minutes left, 4 minutes actually. So there's no entry here for Euro USD, or technically there might be an entry right here for a late one. Let me see how big is this push right here. 21 pips. I could probably call a late entry for it. No, actually, it's kind of risky because the problem with this is that it's too close to the next zone right here. Yeah, it's too close. So I probably wouldn't call this. I'll just mark it up just in case, but it doesn't look like a good entry. Right here for GA, we would need this to close below the zone for an entry, nothing there. GBP CHF, this might be a decent entry right here. 60 pips. So this might be an entry right here. Mark that up. Same situation right here. It's too close. So I wouldn't call GBP CHF because there's not enough swing there because you know, our stop loss would probably have to be down here, but the next zone is like way too close for me to call that trade. I mean, technically we could probably write it up to that point, but I don't want to take that risk where it's just too close because I wouldn't want to get caught up in this trade. However, I'll mark it up just in case. We have 3 minutes left, guys. So I'm just going to zoom through these real quick. Down, it's a big push for GU right there. See if there's an upper zone. All right, so this might be a trade that I would call right now. Eight pips, that looks fine. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom through these real quick to make sure there's no entries. NZD CHF, possible entry right there. 55 pips. Possible entry for breaks above. Let's mark it up. NJ, nothing there. NU, nothing there. UCAD, nothing there. Oh, actually, it's too close. Yeah, 20 pips. Way too close. Nothing there. UJ, nothing there. Okay, so I just have these marked up right here. EU. Wait, why did I mark this up? I don't know why I marked that up, but okay. This was from Friday, so actually, yeah, that wouldn't have been an entry. I'll just knock that off. Let me see GCAD. So just looking at the GBP pairs over here, it looks like a lot of them are bullish. So that gives me confirmation of the, the correlating pairs that the GBP pairs are going to be pushing upward. So that's good. I just want to see the USD pairs to make sure that the USD is weak. It's weak right there. It's bearish. It's weak right there as well. It's weak right there as well. It's weak there as well. So it does look like a good entry. So I'm going to take GU myself. I'm going to 80 pips. All right, so I'm going to take this trade right here. Take it on my own account. Don't do this, guys. I'm going to be taking a heavy risk on this trade because if you guys are familiar with this account, oh, fuck. Sorry. I almost took that trade without even looking at it. Yeah, so don't do this, guys. This is one of my accounts that I'm just kind of messing with. So I'm taking a 10% risk. Don't do that. I only recommend a 5% max. But the thing with me is I kind of know what I'm doing, so I'm going to take that trade. Or I'm currently in this trade, guys. I'm in GU right here. This is my live forex.com account. You can see that it's my real live account. It's real money. I took this trade, and I'm currently in it. So I'm going to call this trade in the premium right now. But don't do what I did, guys. I always tell you guys to use proper risk. The only reason I'm doing this because I actually know what I'm doing. But I don't recommend you guys do it. Nice. Noel said he's in GU already. So let me call this trade for you guys in the premium. If you guys are here and you guys aren't in the premium, I mean, you guys can see what the parameters are there. But if you guys want the trades real time, like how I just took it right now, you guys can see that I take all these trades on my own account. They're not just trades that I call, they're trades that I'm actually taking. So you guys can trust that they're actually going to be some legit trades and not just some random trades that I'm just, you know, calling for signals. But okay, here we go with that. GBP USD. You know, these trades will be called in the free group, but you guys get them on a delayed shared, obviously, because people in premium pay for these trades to have them real time. So if you guys want them real time, just sign up to the premium. You probably make your money back in like one trade anyway. So you can ask anyone else in the group if they think they are you know, worth taking. But you guys have seen our results. You guys know that they're pretty solid trades. All right, so I sent that trade out to all of the premium groups. Let me just mark this right there. NZD CHF, too risky, not going to take that one. GBP CHF, it's kind of risky too. GCAD right here, let's see. Yeah, sorry, Spencer. I know you wanted me to look at GU for you. I kind of went through it a little fast, but we were probably looking at the same exact thing. So I think you should be fine with that trade. Here, let me go through. I want to call this trade, but I want to make sure that the Canadian dollar is weak across the board. I mean, it's kind of a hard call to make right now for all of these. Yeah, the CAD doesn't necessarily look weak right now. So I'm not going to call GCAD. Seems a bit risky. I just want to make sure the CHF is weak. Let's see. Yeah, same with the CHF. It doesn't look very weak overall. So I'm just going to call GU for right now. It's going to be our first trade for the week. Kicking off the trading week. Let me set off these alerts so that we can see exactly where everything is. All right, so this is TP1, 20 pips. GU's TP2 is 40 pips. So this is how I set my alerts, guys. And whenever I get these alerts, that's when I give you guys the updates that, you know, TP's been hit or stop loss has been hit, et cetera, et cetera. And this is how I keep track of my trades. Like, I'm not staring at the charts all day. I'm just looking at it when I get these alerts. And only at the time when the 4-hour candle closes. Full TP, 80 pips. Looks good. And I do set alerts for everything. I set alerts for TPs and the stop loss because I want to know if, you know, if our trades are hitting. So I want to know whether it's good or it's bad. You know, I still want to know regardless. Hey Mark, how's it going, man? How's the UK 100 going, Mark? I see you've been killing it, bro, with that back test. But okay, so I've gone over all the pairs right now. For the only current active trade we have right now is GU. Actually, this might be a decent entry right here for EG, but I'm going to hold off on this because it is Sunday, so I kind of want to be a little careful with our trades right now. Oh crap! Why did I do that? Freaking move this over. All right, cool. So this is all we have active right now, guys. GU. I'm going to go down and look at the pairs that were asked earlier in the chat. So if you guys have any questions, just put it in the chat for the YouTube, and I'll go over any pairs that you guys want me to look over. We currently have a couple to look at right now. I'm going to look at NZD CAD, GU, and GJ for Spencer. Let me see if there's anything else that we have currently. Let's see. I feel like someone else asked a question earlier too that I kind of missed on. Oh yeah, RJPY. So I'll look at let me put this in my notes actually, so I can make sure to look at everything here. All right, so we got RJPY. NZD CAD. Or let me go in order actually. So we got AJPY, GBP JPY, GBP USD, NZD CAD, and let me see if there's anything else right here. All right, cool. Noel wants us to take a look at S&P 500. So I'm gonna take a look at all of these right now. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna step off for a few minutes. I just need to grab my package that was delivered downstairs. I don't want someone to come steal my Amazon package. So let me just step away real quick. I'll be back like in a minute or two. So All right, guys, I'm back. So let's see. Our GU trades like right at entry. Let's see if people got into this trade already. All right, cool. So Yadin's looking at GJ. So I'll take a look at GJ right now because it's one of the things on the list. But yeah, our GU trades right at entry. So if you guys want to enter, it's still available. But okay, so let me go down the list. Let's see. All right, so I do have a couple that are lined up right now. So right now we have RJPY, GJ, GU, NZD CAD, and S&P. So let's go down that list in order. So we'll start with RJPY right here. Same situation as what we discussed earlier. So price is currently within this zone. The problem with price being within this zone is that price can reject at any point. It can reject right now where it currently is. It can reject up here. It can reject anywhere within the zone and head back downwards. So me personally, I wouldn't enter this buy until price closes above this this zone right here, because then it'll give confirmation that price has broken a structure and that momentum is moving in that direction. So if you guys are in a buy with RJPY, I think let's see who was in this trade. I can't remember who was in this trade, but someone was in this trade. Mersabal was in this trade. And I mentioned that it might be risky to be holding this trade. So if you're in profit, I would move your stop loss in profit to eliminate your risk and guarantee profits, just in case it ends up going the opposite direction. Because literally, it can swap, like it switch up at any point in time, and especially with all of the COVID news that's coming out, it could literally spike the JPY in either direction, since the JPY is a safe haven currency. So I'd be careful with nice. So yeah, Mersabal said I closed out my RJPY in profit about 10 minutes ago. Nice. So you probably made some decent profit off that if you entered like a while back. So you can see right here that price is actually pulling back. You can see that it's a red candle. So this could possibly be the area of rejection. One way of looking at this as well is that you can see that it's establishing lower lows and lower highs. So price started from, let's say, like right here. There's the high. There's the low, and then the lower high, lower low. Swings back up here for a lower high, lower low, and this might be the lower high right here. So at this point, price can reject off this zone and off this lower high and shoot right back down to down here. So it's just a risky trade. I mean, there's a lot of ways to analyze it. There's no right or wrong way to trade this. You can be doing pretty well if you're in a buy, or you can be doing pretty well if you're in a sell. So me personally, I just don't like to trade positions that are uncertain. So me personally, I wouldn't be in this trade right now. I would wait for some sort of extra confirmation before entering it. So let's move on to the next one. We've looked at RJPY. We'll look at GJ right now. So looking at GJ right here, we do have a buy momentum right here. Price did reject off this zone. So it's now at this zone right here. Same situation with RJPY. Price can push up to any point within the zone, and it can reject right back down as well. Like it could reject back down from here, or from up here, or from up here. There's really no exact, price point where it'll probably reject from, if not reject from where it currently is right now. I personally wouldn't enter a buy until price breaks above here, because then it would break structure and the momentum would continue upwards to test this next zone up in this direction. So until that happens, I wouldn't enter a buy. Same situation, I wouldn't enter a sell until we get a sell signal like we did right here, and price is broken like past the zone. So price rejected off this point, closed below this zone, we got a sell signal, and then you could have entered this for a sell to the next zone down here, where it came down, rejected off this point, and just pretty much just kept bouncing within these zones. So same situation with RJPY that we just analyzed earlier. It's just establishing lower highs and lower lows. So it can easily just continue downwards with the rest of the JPY pair. So established a high here, and then it established a low here, lower high there, lower low here. And then if it establishes a lower high right here, then it can probably drop back down from that point, right? So same situation with AUDJPY. I wouldn't take GJ until it either breaks above here and closes, or if we get a sell signal, if it probably, you know, closes below here. It could even close below here and probably take a sell right here for about, you know, a 20, 30 pip gain. So there's a ton of different scenarios, and I don't like taking trades when there's a ton of different scenarios. I want to make sure that there's only like 2 scenarios available, or maybe even one best case scenario. So for AUDJPY and GJ, I would be careful with those 2 positions because it looks like it can go in either direction at this point. So be careful with those if you guys are in those trades. But let's move on to the next one, GU. So GU is a trade that we're currently in right now. It's currently right below entry. Same situation with GU right here. Price broke the structure, and then we got a buy signal right here. So it provided for an entry using the K2SR zone strategy, or zone trading strategy. Basically, the way that the strategy works is, I'm gonna type it up right here, K2SR zone trading strategy, and it's used on the 4-hour time frame. So basically, for one, you just want to identify a break and close past K2SR level. And secondly, confirm direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. Because obviously you want to trade only in the direction of momentum. And then looking at this right here, you can enter on the open of the following candle. So that's pretty much it, guys. It's super simple. I'll show you guys another example right here. So basically identify break and close past the K2SR level. Right here, we had price break above this K2SR level, and then it closed. And then secondly, you want to confirm the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. So right here, we have a buy momentum indicator. So price broke above this zone. We have a buy momentum right here. We anticipate this to shoot above and test the next zone, which would be way up here, right? And looking at the previous history right here, you can see the last time that it did the same exact thing. So right here, price broke the zone, right? And then it came back down to retest it. That's basically what's happening here. Price broke it. It's probably going to retest the zone right here, and then it's going to shoot right back up to that next K2SR level up there, right? So same situation right here. I'll bring the same requirements over here, replay this at this point. And you can see that our alerts are set in the same area where it tested before. So the last time it did this was on August 28th of this year, a couple months ago. So right here, identify break and close past the K2SR level. Right here, price broke and closed past it. Confirm the direction of momentum. We have a buy signal right here. So both requirements are met. You can enter on the open of the falling candle. So right here, we enter a long position. We're trying to reach the next zone, which would be right here, for a gain of about 135 pips. We're just going to round that off, 135. So if we let that run right there, you can see price pushes up, comes down, tests the zone right here, and then shoots right up to full TP. See that? And that's what we're identifying with the current entry over here. Same exact setup, right? And you can see that the same exact zone that was tested way back in August is replaying itself again here on November 23rd. So you can see how strong these zones are. If you guys have these zones, it gives you a huge edge in the market because a lot of people aren't using these properly. I know a lot of people try to draw their own zones on the chart, but they're not as accurate as the K2SR zones because the K2SR zones go back way far back in history. So if you go back and draw this yourself, you probably wouldn't have identified this zone here, right? Because there's no way you can look at a screen when it looks like this. So if you're looking at the charts like this, there's no way you would have identified these zones. But using the K2SR indicator, it pinpointed these zones perfectly. And that's how you guys get the edge in the market, by having these zones on your chart, because history almost always repeats itself. So that's why we took this trade for GU right here. And this is what I see happening. And if we look back at, previous entries right here, yeah, same situation over here, guys. So if I go back to right here on November 12th, like about a week or 2 weeks ago, if I go and rewind this to this point, it's the same exact setup. So you can see this setup right here: identify break and close past K2SR level, price broke and close past this level right here, right? Confirm the direction of momentum using the K2 momentum indicator. Right here, we have a buy signal. So we could enter a long position right there. Basically, we try to reach the next zone right there, because we are predicting that price is going to test this next zone right here. So if we let this run, you can see that price pushes up and hits full TP. Same situation, back and forth. History always repeats itself. These patterns always repeat itself. So that's basically what I see happening over here for our current position. And that's why I took a heavy risk on this specific position. I took a 10% risk because I'm super confident that it's going to shoot up to hit full TP. And look, if it hits full TP for me, I'm going to lock in $548 off this trade. So we'll see how that plays out, guys. But you guys saw exactly where my head was and why I took this trade. I don't just take trades for no reason. I take trades because I have a good understanding that, price is almost guaranteed to hit, one of our TPs, and, for the most part, hit our full TP if possible. But we'll wait and see how that happens. Like I mentioned, it's a holiday weekend. We have Thanksgiving on Thursday, so volatility might die down as the weekend passes through. But we're going to try to make some trades from now until then, because we're probably going to have a short week of trading this week, Monday through Wednesday, because Thanksgiving's on Thursday and Black Friday's on Friday. So it's going to be some weird trading this week, but we're definitely going to make the best of it. All right, so that's GU right there. Let's move on to NZD CAD. All right, so for NZD CAD, this entry right here would have been way back here. So this would have been an entry over here. And stop loss would have been, it still would have been active. So this would have been the trade right here, and it's technically still would have been active. I personally wouldn't enter it late because it's been pushing up for so long. It might pull back a bit before it shoots back up to hit, to test this zone. So obviously this would have been a good entry if you took it right here when it actually broke the zone, or even right here as it pulled back down and it broke the zone right here. This would be another entry as well. However, price is so far from that entry point, 64, 65 pips. So you're just way too late for this trade. So I personally think it's going to push up eventually to test this zone. However, it's not going to be any point of entry at this point. So the only reason I'd enter this trade is if it was to pull back down here, rejects off this point, and then continues back upwards. Then I would take the trade at that time, because it would be prime entry for us to catch this move upwards, right? Currently right now, there's no entry. Let me turn on the pivot, see if there's a pivot entry. Maybe there's one of those, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, the pivot entry was way down here. So price came below, came up, retraced from this point, rejection, buy signal. This is where the pivot entry would have happened right there. And it would have hit full TP as well. So currently right now for NZD CAD, the NZD pairs have been moving weird pretty much all together. So there just is no entry right now for NZD CAD. So I'd be careful for it. If you guys want to take it, feel free. I still have a bullish bias on this because we do have a buy signal right here. And I do expect it to continue upwards. However, I don't want to get in right here. Like, here's the worst thing that could happen. Right? And that's usually what happens. All the market makers, institutions try to catch these FOMO traders that try to get into these trades too late. So I personally wouldn't enter this trade right now because there's just no entry available. All right, last one. Let's look at S&P, and then we might wrap it up for the night, guys. So we've been on this webinar for almost 2 hours now. If you guys have any other questions, just put them in the chat, and then we could cover them before I get off today. But don't worry if your questions aren't answered today, guys, because we still have live trading room tomorrow morning. So if I don't answer your question tonight, I will be live tomorrow for the live trading room early in the morning. So we'll be up around 6 a.m. tomorrow to hop onto that. Oh, fuck my neck. And to hop onto that live trading room, and I can answer your guys' questions at that point too. The market's just really slow right now, so don't worry about it too much. You know, the volatility will pick up once the London market opens and the US market opens tomorrow. So let me just take a look at S&P real quick for Noel. Looking at S&P right here, let me go and draw my zone. So let me take this off. You know, I'm gonna draw my zones on, actually it's fine. I could draw my zones right here on the 4-hour. So I'll draw these zones right there. And then I'll probably look on the lower time frames to identify entries. Yeah, unless you're trading on these higher time frames, Noel, then I can analyze it on this as well. But yeah, I'm not sure what time frames you're trading on. Yeah, so I'm drawing my zones here on the 4-hour. Let me hide this right here. You can see here that price generally, you know, as I mentioned before, it respects these zones pretty nicely. So price is currently within this area right here, and it's testing this zone that was created way back in September 2nd of this year. So it tested it here, retested it again right here in November last week, and then now it's back within these two zoned areas. So let me turn on the momentum indicator. Let me switch over to the lower time frames, like maybe the 30-minute. Nice, yes. And Noel said, usually look at bigger work way down to lower for entry. Yeah, so that's basically what I do the same. You know, I start from the 4-hour, draw my zones there, go down to the 1-hour or the 30-minute to identify these entries. So the 30 minutes, there's still some noise on there. So I probably would go down, I would look on the 4-hour first. So we get a false sell signal right there. Price rejected off this point. So I do think it's going to come down, maybe test this point, or it might even come up from here. Let me go to the 1-hour. Yeah, so pretty much on all the time frames over here, it's pretty much just consolidating within these two, or it's just ranging within these two zones right here. So price did come down, then it's coming up. It might test it again a third time. So it's tested it 1, 2. This would be the third time testing it, and then it might come back down. The thing with indices though is that they're not like Forex pairs. They're not. They generally don't respect technical analysis as much as they do like for Forex. For S&P, you kind of have to look at the stock news and see what's going on, because it's very news driven and based more so on fundamentals and momentum rather than technical analysis. Because price does reject off these points, like you can see right here. Obviously, it does reject off them, right? But there's a lot of times where it doesn't really respect it. It'll reject off it and then it'll like bounce around. It's not like Forex where it's a ranging asset, and it generally does bounce back and forth with regard to technical analysis. So the thing with the S&P right here is that one thing that I also like to do is I like to mark up the quarter points. So let me do that right now, actually, just so I can see where price is moving from. Yeah, that's like way down there. I'll just zoom out so I can see, because I guess the quarter point for that one is like super far down. So let me hide this down there. Looking at this right here, 500. And they kind of line up with the zones. You can see that they kind of land where the zones are sometimes. So that gives you even better confirmation that the price is likely to, actually these quarter points are like pretty far off. You know, I don't trade S&P, so I'm not exactly sure how the quarter points work on S&P, but I do know how they work on the on US 30. So let me just hide momentum indicator. So yeah, price is actually really far from these quarter points. So they might be a little irrelevant at this point. Yeah, because like I mentioned, I don't trade S&P, so they're a little different compared to US 30. The quarter points on US 30 generally get tested daily, but the quarter points for S&P, I don't know if these quarter points are just too far, 3,500, 3,250. But anyways, we do have this quarter point right here. You can see that price generally respects that quarter point right here. Price comes up, breaks through it, rejects off it, and comes straight down. Same situation right here. Price breaks above that quarter point, retest it, as well as the K2SR level, and then it shoots right back up, right? So it's still got some ways to go over here. But looking at this from here, I turn on the momentum indicator, go on the 1 hour. Let me turn on the pivot, see how it's currently moving right now. So it looks like it's currently in a downtrend right now. So price looks like it might be rejecting off this pivot right here. And then it could come down and test this zone right here. So if you guys look at that closely, that looks like it's something that might play out. You know, it really depends on how this candle right here plays out, because if this candle right here closes out as a bearish candle, then it will probably continue back down to test this zone right here. However, if it breaks above it, so say if it continues up, breaks above it right here, then I would anticipate it to test this next zone up here. Hey, Noel, are you in S&P right now? Are you in for a sell or for a buy? I kind of want to analyze it in your direction to see you know, how that plays out, because it literally looks like, well, for the most part, it looks like a sell, because we do have a sell bias right here with the sell signal, right? However, if it breaks above it, it could literally go in the opposite direction. So I'm not sure what direction it would go. Also, you'd have to wait for the actual US market to open, like the stock market, because a lot of stuff happens over the weekend and there's a lot of pending orders right now. So the reason why it's moving right now is because there's pending orders from aftermarket over the weekend where the brokers know where the orders are going to get filled. So that's why it's kind of moving in that direction. Yeah. So Noel said I was in a sell from Friday, but it stopped down in profit. Nice. Yeah, I could see that happening like right here, because it looks like on Friday right here on the 20th, around, see, market open right here at 5:30, and then it shot down from that point right here. So same situation with right now, how we're analyzing it. Even though price is pushing up like slightly right here, you know, once the market reopens tomorrow right here, depending on how many orders are, you know, what we could do is we can actually look at the sentiment. So looking at the sentiment right here, it looks like, yeah, the market's pretty split. There's like 53% of people are long. So it could, honestly, it could go in either direction. Generally, I like to go where majority of people aren't. But like I was mentioning right here, price can probably go sideways, like slightly up and sideways, up until market open right here. And then as soon as the market opens, if a lot of people have sells that are pending from the weekend, then we can see a sharp drop once the market opens up, kind of similar to what happened right here. So you can see when the market opened right here at 6:30, you know, price was pushing up during London right here. And then as soon as the market opened, it came crashing down, right? So depending on what we're expecting in the news, let me check CNBC to see if there's any, because also let me see if I can see what stocks are in the S&P. Let's see. S&P 500 index, CNBC, because they have a list of stocks here. So if you can look at what stocks are in the S&P, it's 500 stocks. So there's actually a lot to choose from right here that could affect the market. I'm trying to see what stocks are in it. I forgot how I found it yesterday. Let me see if I can look it up right here. Let's see. Trying to find the, because they do have the list here. Okay, news for companies in the S&P 500 index. So yeah, looking at the news right here, it looks like so Zebra Technologies is within the S&P, plays critical role in vaccine distribution. So this could actually push it up. So on Friday there was good news. Okay, we're ahead stocks. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, the S&P could probably shoot up depending on whatever kind of good news comes out for the stocks that are within the S&P. Let me see. I'm trying to find the list because I did have a list here, but I don't see it anymore. But yeah, just looking at the news here for S&P, it looks like a lot of people might be buying that dip. However, I don't know what's going on with the other stocks in the S&P. There's a lot of different factors that could affect stocks in general, and more so indexes because they're a compilation of stocks. So for S&P right here, I don't know if I would take a sell, honestly, because let's check the news real quick if there's anything tomorrow. So flash manufacturing PMI, that's probably not going to be good. Yeah, see right here, the last one is 53.4. It's going to forecast at 52.5. So it might be a good sell, actually. It might sell for a bit. Let me see where price currently is. So I'm going to try to look at the next levels where people will be likely buying the dip. So yeah, right here, it might drop even further, actually. It might drop a bit further. And then it looks like people will start buying the dip around this area right here. Once it reaches this lower K2SR level, people will probably start buying the dip right here. But yeah, looking at it currently, it just I don't know, man. It's kind of risky because the thing is, we won't really know how it's really moving until the market reopens. I would wait for the actual U.S. market to open before you kind of determine, what direction. Unless you're speculating the trade, then you can probably enter a sell position, but I would keep your stop loss kind of tight, like something like this. Let me see. So if you're in a short position, I would probably reach for that next zone down there, or maybe even farther down. And then I would have your stop loss somewhere around here at the previous swing or above, this zone right here, and then try to catch that like that. Because I think once it reaches this zone down here, it could probably bounce right back up. People are going to buy the dip at that point. So I would be patient, bro, because last thing you want to do is you enter a sell position, and then during London, I know everyone's experienced this. They enter a position because they think it's going to go down so hard, and then it spikes up, hits your stop loss, and then as soon as the U.S. market opens, it dumps like heavy, and then you're like, damn, I should have just waited. So me personally, I would just wait unless you got some money to gamble with, then you can probably try to enter that sell. But I personally would wait maybe until like right before the market opens, see what they're saying, in the news and whatnot, because the thing is, check this out. Like I was mentioning right here with the Zebra Technologies or whatever this is, I don't even know what this company is, but I'm only looking at it because it's on the S&P news. Say if the FDA approves the Pfizer or whatever the vaccine that's going to be coming out, right? If that happens, and this company has a huge skyrocket up because everyone tries to buy this company because they think it's going to help with the distribution of the vaccine, then you can just see a random spike up. So you might think it's going to come down, but say tomorrow if the FDA says something about approving the vaccine, or their odds are it's going to be approved, you're going to see this skyrocket up, like something like that. So that's what I mean about it being news driven, because it can literally go in either direction depending on what news is released, either tonight or tomorrow or any day really. So I'd probably just I'd probably hold off on that for now, bro, just to be safe, because I'm just looking out for your account because I don't know how that's gonna really play out. Yeah, exactly. Unless you see a good bearish candle, then ride that wave and then take that wave down. But unless you get some extra confirmation, I would just hold off and chill until you see what happens from there. All right, let's see. We got one more question from Rob. Merciful said they already approved. In the US, let me see. Let me see. FDA COVID vaccine approval. Oh yeah, no, they approved the emergency one where certain people can get it, like if they really need it. But I'm talking about like the actual like the one that's available to the wide public, because the emergency use one, it has been approved, but the one for the general public hasn't been approved yet. And I hate these, like they require you to like sign up for it. Let me see. Emergency use authorization. Yeah, because these emergency use ones are just, they're used for people that are like going to die. They're not necessarily used for the general public. And the thing with this too is that even though it's approved, we don't know if there's going to be any crazy side effects. Because, like, put it this way, if the vaccine's approved and then someone takes it and then they die because of the vaccine, then this thing could come plummeting, because it's going to make COVID even worse, because we're going to have to, like, back to the drawing boards, I guess, for like vaccine to like create more precautions. But there's a lot of different factors that could factor in for like the stocks and the market in general. So I would sit tight until there's like some sort of bigger announcement. But yeah, the emergency use one was, I think it was approved on Friday, right? Or on Saturday. But we like the general public would want, one that's available for everyone, not necessarily for emergency use, because emergency use one's already been used by like Trump. So that's pretty much expected. But we'll see how this plays out. Let me see. Okay, so let me look at the last one for Rob. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat real quick. We've been on this stream for like almost 3 hours now, so I definitely need a break. But if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat, and then I can go over them before we log off. But just a reminder, we're going to have the live trading room tomorrow morning. So if your questions don't get answered today, we'll still be on live tomorrow. So I'll be able to answer your questions tomorrow morning, if that's the case. If they go to bed, wake up for London. Man, I wish I could, bro, but I gotta wake up for US. That's where it's really at. Hey, David, you should try the UK 100 strategy that Mark's been playing out. I don't know if Mark's still here, but he's been doing some back testing on it. Looks like it's pretty promising. I just, I'm asleep at that time, so I can't really take that trade. But let's go back to EG right here. David said New York session is terrible. No, I agree. I can't mess. I can deal with the sleeping pattern mess. But Rob, looking at EG right here, so we technically still have this EG position that's open from last week. It's about to hit full TP right here for full for 35 pips. Right here is also another entry. So if you want to take this entry, I was gonna call it, but I forgot why I didn't call it. I think it was because I didn't want to double down on the position, because this position is still technically active, but it could well enough just drop from here to hit full TP on that one. Maybe I should call it. Let's see. Let me look at so GBP is strong. Let me see what the euro is looking like. See if the okay. So this is why I didn't call it, because the correlation between all the euro pairs, I mean, they're still sort of bearish, but they're not very strong. So they're not coming down super heavy, and that's why I didn't really see really much of an opportunity. Like right here for Euro CAD, it's pretty much just going sideways. Euro CAD is going sideways. Euro AUD is basically going sideways. Euro CHF is going sideways. EJ is also going sideways. And let's see, yen's done already. and EU is going sideways as well. So for EG right here, I do think it'll it'll possibly come down. But me personally, I don't think it's a time to take unnecessary risk per se. We already have one position open with GU right now. So for EG, we technically still have this one open. That's why I don't want to call it to double down on a specific pair, because it's Sunday and the volatility is low. Plus, there's a ton of news coming up in a couple hours. So we're probably not going to have any more trades called tonight because we do have a ton of news coming up at midnight. So David, if you're trading London, be careful because they got Euro news at 12:15, some more Euro news at 12:30. This is all my time too. So this is basically London open. I think it's like 3 a.m. your time. But there's news right on the open. There's news an hour after. And then there's news again 30 minutes after that with the GBP. So it might be a risky time to trade it for the most part. So I'd probably be careful. If you decide to trade London today, there's a lot of news coming up, and it's just not something that I would recommend risking. But yeah, guys, let me see. Usman said you did not want to call because it's Sunday and news smart. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly why I didn't call it. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot because I remember I was looking at it and I was so confident that it was probably going to play out. But with the news and with it being Sunday, you can see the volatility is extremely slow. It hasn't even moved maybe a pip since it opened up. But yeah, guys, so I think that's it for now. I don't see any other questions. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me on Telegram. We've been on this for about 3 hours, so I'm going to take a break. But I'll still be available on Telegram, calling out any trades if I see anything appear last minute. However, I'll be on tomorrow for the morning session for the live trading room. Looks like we have news tomorrow for the USD at 6:45. And we also have some high impact news for GBP at 7:30 tomorrow morning as well. So we'll try to catch some trades in the morning. I'll probably still call US 30 even though we have these news events. But yeah, till then, guys, I'll catch you guys in the morning. We will be live for the New York session. We'll be looking for that US 30 entry, and then we'll be looking for more trades as well. But yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in the morning. If you guys have questions, just reach out to me on Telegram and I can answer your guys' question on there. But yeah, guys, till then, I'll see you guys in a couple hours.